So, you probably asked yourself one time in your life, can destiny be changed? May 1st, 1994. The world stood still. Silence took over the Imola circuit. Millions of people watched in disbelief as one of the greatest icons in motorsport met his fate at Tamburello corner. Ayrton Senna, the man who seemed unstoppable, was suddenly gone. But what if things had been different? What if, for some reason, that accident never happened? What if Senna's fate wasn't shaped by chance, but by something far more powerful? The law of attraction suggests that our thoughts and emotions have the power to shape reality. Some say the mind creates the path we walk, that whatever we deeply believe in manifests in our lives. Senna always had a strong connection with something greater. He visualized victories, he felt destined for greatness. But in the days leading up to that fateful May 1st, something seemed different. He was restless, uneasy. Could it be that his thoughts sealed his fate? Or, if he had thought differently, could everything have changed? If the law of attraction truly works, could Senna have created a future where he survived, defeated Schumacher, and dominated Formula One for years to come? Get ready for a journey into an alternate reality, one where Ayrton Senna never stopped at Tamburello, and his story took a turn few would dare to imagine. Senna's mindset and the law of attraction. Ayrton Senna was not just an exceptional driver, he was a mind ahead of his time. Unlike many, he didn't rely solely on talent or technique, but on the power of the mind. In several interviews, Senna revealed that he used to visualize his races even before stepping into the car. He would see every turn, every overtaking maneuver, and most importantly, he would see himself winning. He believed that by envisioning success before it happened, he made it real. But the tragedy of 1994 raises a disturbing question. Did Senna, in some way, foresee his own fate? In the days leading up to the San Marino Grand Prix, something seemed different about him. He told friends and journalists that he did not feel safe in the Williams car. He mentioned that something felt wrong, that the feeling behind the wheel was not the same. The day before the race, he spent a long time alone, deep in thought, as if reflecting on something greater. Could it be that these negative thoughts, even unconsciously, shaped reality? The law of attraction states that whatever we focus our minds on manifests in the physical world. If Senna, in some way, started believing that something bad would happen, could that thought have influenced the events of that day? On the other hand, what if he had visualized a different future? What if, instead of doubt, he had focused only on victory? What if he had felt absolute confidence in the car, fully believing that he would cross the finish line and go on to win another championship? What would have happened if, on the morning of May 1st, 1994, Senna had stepped into the car with the same confidence and certainty as always? Perhaps the history of Formula One and the world would have been completely different. An alternate reality, Senna's future. If Ayrton Senna had walked away unscathed from the 1994 San Marino Grand Prix, Formula One would have taken a completely different path, not just for him, but for the entire history of motorsport. As the greatest talent of his generation, Senna wouldn't have just kept racing. He would have been the biggest obstacle in Michael Schumacher's path, changing the dominance that the German driver would later establish. But what would this new reality look like? The 1994 World Championship. The 1994 season had started off tough for Senna. The Williams FW16 wasn't an easy car to drive, and Schumacher's Benetton was clearly more balanced. The German had won the first two races of the year, while Senna had retired from both, something unheard of in his career. But if he had survived Imola, he could have turned things around. Williams' biggest problem at the time was the lack of aerodynamic balance due to the ban on advanced electronic systems, such as active suspension. With Senna's talent and the team's efforts, the car would have improved quickly. Damon Hill, Senna's teammate, managed to win 6 races throughout the season and nearly beat Schumacher in the title fight. If Hill could do it, imagine what Senna would have achieved with the same car. Given his history of comebacks, Senna could have won key races and overturned Schumacher's advantage, claiming his 4th world championship in 1994. But the real question is, how would this have affected Schumacher, the greatest rivalry in F1 history? If Senna had won in 1994, Schumacher would not have secured his first title that year. This would have changed his career entirely. With a fourth championship under his belt, Senna would have been the clear favorite for 1995. Williams would have had a stronger car, while Benetton would lose some of its technical advantages. Schumacher, still younger and less experienced, would have struggled to surpass Senna, delaying the dominance he later established in Formula One. This rivalry could have defined the second half of the 1990s, bringing legendary duels between two of the greatest drivers of all time. But what would have happened next? Senna at Ferrari? One of the biggest what-ifs in Formula One history is, could Ayrton Senna have raced for Ferrari? In interviews, Senna revealed that he had a strong desire to drive for Ferrari before retiring. If he had won more titles with Williams, he could have made the same move Schumacher did in 1996 and brought Ferrari back to glory even before the Germans' arrival. Now imagine Senna in red, leading Ferrari to dominance in the late 1990s and early 2000s. With his talent and leadership, the team could have been restructured even faster, starting its golden era before Schumacher arrived. This means that Schumacher might never have become Ferrari's undisputed king, and his own legacy in F1 could have been completely different. The legacy of a living Senna. If Senna had survived, his presence would have directly influenced Formula One's evolution. He was always deeply concerned about driver safety. His involvement could have accelerated changes to make the sport even safer. Senna could have directly mentored a new generation of drivers, shaping the future of motorsport in ways we can only imagine. And of course, he might have retired as the greatest champion in history, surpassing Fangio and perhaps even Schumacher and Hamilton later on. If this reality had happened, what would Formula One look like today? We may never know the answer. But by imagining this alternate future, we can reflect on the incredible impact Senna had and continues to have even after his passing. The impact beyond the track. Ayrton Senna was not just an extraordinary driver. He was a symbol of perseverance, determination, and charisma. His influence transcended motorsport, inspiring millions both on and off the track. If he had survived the 1994 San Marino Grand Prix, his impact on the world would have been even greater. But how could this alternate reality have shaped not only Formula One, but also Senna's legacy in the sport and society? A safer future for Formula One. Even before Imola, Senna was deeply concerned with driver safety. He often spoke about the need for safer cars and better prepared circuits. During that tragic weekend in 1994, he was visibly troubled by the crashes that had occurred earlier, especially Rubens Barrichello's violent accident and Roland Ratzenberger's fatal crash. If Senna had continued racing, he would likely have used his influence to push for regulatory changes that ensured tragedies like his own would never happen again. He could have worked directly with the FIA to demand cockpit and circuit safety improvements. With his prestige and strong voice, Senna would have been a key figure in the introduction of new safety technologies, such as the Hans device and stronger survival cells in cars. His involvement might have accelerated these major changes, potentially saving lives in the years to come. Formula One became significantly safer after 1994, but with Senna in the paddock, this transformation could have happened even faster. Ayrton Senna team, his own F1 team. With his entrepreneurial mindset, Senna might have taken things a step further and founded his own Formula One team. Other former drivers, such as Alain Prost and Jackie Stewart, went on to create their own teams. Senna, with his knowledge and influence, could have led a highly successful project. Imagine a team built on Senna's philosophy, prioritizing raw talent, discipline, and the development of young drivers. He could have brought McLaren's winning mentality into his own team, attracting major sponsors and making the project competitive in a short time. With his own team, Senna would not only have extended his legacy in Formula One, but also shaped the sport's future in a unique way. The social legacy and global impact. Even with his career cut short, Ayrton Senna left behind an immense legacy beyond racing. His name became immortalized through the Ayrton Senna Institute, one of Brazil's most impactful social initiatives. Ayrton Senna was already a hero on the track. If he had continued his journey, he would have been an even greater hero to the world. a world where Senna lived. If Ayrton Senna had survived, his story would have taken a path filled with new achievements. More Formula One titles, solidifying himself as the greatest driver of all time. A massive contribution to motorsport safety, protecting future generations of drivers. An even greater social impact, changing lives both in Brazil and around the world. This leads us to an intriguing thought. What would the world look like if Senna were still with us today? One thing is certain, his impact will never be forgotten. And perhaps, this alternate reality we imagine is simply a reflection of the greatness Senna always represented. Conclusion. Can we shape our destiny? Ayrton Senna's story is one of the most inspiring in motorsport. He was not just an exceptional driver, but also a symbol of determination, discipline, and an unwavering belief in his own potential. Decades after his passing, his legacy remains alive, influencing generations both inside and outside the sport. But one question lingers: was Senna's fate truly sealed? If we consider the law of attraction, a deeper reflection emerges. Do our thoughts and emotions truly shape our future? If Senna had felt more confident in his Williams car, could his performance and decisions that day have been different? If he had reinforced his winning mindset that weekend, could he have avoided the tragic outcome? Can the energy we project into the universe actually alter our destiny? We may never know the answer. But what we can take from this story is that our beliefs and mindset have a profound impact on how we live our lives. Senna always believed in the power of the mind and a connection to something greater. He visualized his victories before achieving them. And if there's one key lesson from this reflection, it's that the way we think can influence our choices, our opportunities, and perhaps even our destiny. In the end, maybe Senna's greatest legacy isn't just in his victories on the track, but in the lesson he left us. Backhand index pointing right, believing in yourself may be the first step in transforming any reality.